Greetings, greetings, greetings. Welcome back to our little channel on YouTube. If you notice, I'm a little bit bulky. I've got on literally two sweatshirts, my scarf, repping the Buckeyes, of course, Ohio State Buckeyes. But it's cold here in Lesotho. It's like the middle of winter here. I don't really know the exact temperature, but I know it's cold. So I bulk up to try to keep warm, especially in the evenings. Yeah. So I was thinking, especially considering back in the States, it's the 4th of July. Um, people are celebrating, or some people are celebrating, some people are, looking at the complexities as it relates to Independence Day, and still many people in America probably don't feel independent and might not feel a reason to celebrate, while others do feel a lot of pride and patriotism on this day. Um, you know, so there's two sides of the coin. So I like to respect people and appreciate wherever they find themselves on holidays that might evoke a different opinion based upon individuals' worldviews or national views, so on and so forth. But thinking about Independence Day, 4th of July in the States, it got me really thinking about some aspects of my own journey, um, and the journey of many people um, like myself. This concept of returning home, this concept of sort of embracing one's roots, but at the same time, on some levels, still being considered, rightly or wrongly, um, a foreigner. So technically speaking, irrespective of how much I feel at home, irrespective of how I consider myself an African, be it genetically, theoretically, philosophically, um, conceptually, and any other word that might describe my profound feeling of Africanness. The reality is, in every country that I've lived, I've still been, you know, for lack of a better word, a foreigner. That's just a reality. Even after living in Namibia for 12 years, even though I could have probably, actually, I definitely could have applied for citizenship, I never did for multiple reasons. Uh, but nonetheless, my thoughts for today were primarily focused on, it's actually after midnight here, Southern Africa time. But I just felt compelled to share some thoughts. Yeah. So what I've been thinking about today and this evening is the dichotomy of identity. Yeah. So obviously, I was born and raised in America. Um, I'm American by nationality. That's just a fact. So my worldviews, of course, were shaped by growing up, being educated, and living the first 38 years of my life um, in America as some people say an African American, some people say a Black American, but however one might characterize an individual. This the reality is my nationality um, is American. You know what I mean? Um, so living here in Africa, three different countries, traveling maybe I even forget maybe 12 or 13 different countries throughout the continent. You can how can I say? Uh, the skin color obviously lets me blend in very nicely with my surroundings. I found in most countries, prior to me speaking, people think I'm local, especially in situations whereby I'm new or people aren't familiar with me. So before I start talking, people just think I'm a local brother. I remember back in the day, and in Kenya, uh, my name was Kamau. So that's what a lot of people called me in Kenya was Kamau. So people would talk to me very quickly, Swahili, Kiswahili, Kiswahili, and I know very little Kiswahili. But until I opened up my mouth, people just assumed I was Kenyan. Um, in Namibia, that was the case at first, but of course, as people got to know me, they realized I'm the Rasta, I'm the brother from the states. So that really wasn't the case in Namibia because I was there, I think, for so long, and people just got used to me. Here in Lesotho, people oftentimes speak to me in Sesotho because people don't really know me here yet. But I would say most people, when they first encounter me, they speak to me in Sesotho. When I'm in South Africa, oftentimes people think I'm South African. The only country where I felt like I kind of stood out a little bit is Ethiopia, because there's a distinct look for the most part with our Ethiopian people. So I think I stand out a little bit in Ethiopia. But for the most part, most of the countries I've traveled, people think I'm from that country, prior to me speaking. So I think that speaks on some level of how can I say, like physical identity, right? So when people see you, because obviously I've got African features, people think I'm I'm local, for lack of a better word. But let me not digress a little bit. But I think my thoughts today has been focused on trying to look at the complexities of navigating um, two worlds. The reality of me being, technically a foreigner, but at the same time, living like a local. I'm not a diplomat. I'm not, a businessman that's, living in gated communities. I'm living amongst, just my brothers and sisters in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? So looking at these dualities, it's kind of enriched my experience, but at the same time, it's made me it's forced me to how can I say it? It's forced me to I don't want to say question identity, but it made me come to terms with some realities of identity and the concept of what it means to belong, to truly belong. Um, Oftentimes, I think that unless you can actually speak the local language, you can't you can't have a full, enriched experience in a country. That's what I used to think. Yeah, but language obviously gives you a deeper understanding of the fullness of the experience. But I can say that I've had a pretty full experience without actually being able to speak um, local languages. Yeah, but it does pose some challenges at times. Um, but despite being considered a foreigner, yeah, um, I still feel 100% at home. I often say um, that irrespective of where I'm at, irrespective of what country I'm in, I feel 100% at home. There's never been a country in Africa that I've visited or lived that I didn't feel very comfortable. And I don't say that just to be, just to get Pan African cred. I say that uh, in all honesty, I feel 100% comfortable in every country that I've lived and visited. This might sound a little bit cliche, but it's the truth. When I'm in Kenya, I feel like I'm a Kenyan. When I'm in Namibia, I feel Namibian. Uh, and even though I'm in Lesotho right now, I still feel a bit Namibian because I've got such, my children were obviously raised in Namibia, and I've spent so much time in Namibia. Um, just the essence of that country just follows me irrespective of where I go. Um, I'm in Lesotho now. Um, I feel like a brother from Lesotho. I don't feel like outside of the languages. I feel very at home here. When I'm in Ethiopia, I feel Ethiopian. When I'm in South Africa, I feel South African. So I think even though technically I'm a foreigner, there's a oneness that that permeates for me within the continent. Um, which makes me feel a sense of grounded, perhaps. I feel very grounded on the continent, and I don't feel um, like I'm away from home. Yeah, obviously, I know I was born and raised in Ohio. I was born in America, but irrespective of where I go in Africa, I really feel um, at home. You know what I mean? Um, I don't know if every person or every African American or every person from the diaspora that comes to Africa, I don't know if they have the same feeling that I've experienced. But for me, um, yeah, it's kind of hard to explain. Yeah, but I feel quite comfortable. Obviously, I guess I've been here for 16 years, so it's a bit obvious that I'm comfortable. Um, and also, a lot of times, especially, there's a lot of, um, there's been a resurgence to this concept of going back to Africa, returning to your roots, so on and so forth, on social media, on platforms like this, YouTube, just in the media in general. There's a lot of talk within some communities about returning to Africa. And oftentimes, a centerpiece of that conversations is related to, or actually what jumps out to me a lot, is a lot of people that are considering, um, coming back to Africa, not just to visit, but with the ambitions to possibly live. A common question I see is, how easy is it to get citizenship? Um, and I think that's a that's a valid question. It's a very valid question. But I think, from my perspective, citizenship has never been the aim. Um, the aim for me is always just the experience. Um, like I said earlier, I could have applied and got citizenship in Namibia. I believe you've got to live there for 10 years and then you can apply for citizenship. Um, but that was never really a goal of mine because I think, actually, let me not say I think, I know that my convictions and my commitment and or my allegiance to Africa isn't based on a piece of paper, right? So, being a citizen of Namibia would not make me love Namibia more than I love Namibia. Being a citizen of Kenya would not make me love Kenya more than I already love Kenya. Being a citizen of Ethiopia, Lesotho, Ghana, wherever I might find myself, being a citizen um, would not really impact my allegiance to that country. Because really, ultimately, I feel like all of Africa is home. Obviously, there are some benefits of residency, citizenship, being able to move around more easily. So there's obviously some benefits of citizenship, but for me, it's never really been a determining factor of where I want to live. But I do applaud, obviously, those countries in Africa that are offering um, those from that those from the diaspora citizenship. I think it's very beautiful. I think it's very, very beautiful. Um, and if I was offered citizenship based upon if someone recognized my loyalty, my commitment, my allegiance to a particular African country, and they wanted to offer me citizenship, of course I would take it. But I don't think at this point in my life it's nothing that I would necessarily apply for. Yeah. Um, so, that's kind of my unique perspective. I don't know if many people would agree with it. Some people may, some people might not. But that's sort of my thoughts on it. Um, so yeah, but citizenship is an interesting topic. Again, I applaud those countries that have offered citizenship to people from the diaspora. Perhaps my opinion might change later, but at this point, citizenship for me isn't really a goal, you know? Um, so, yeah, these are just some of my thoughts I wanted to share this evening. So hopefully, I guess another goal of this channel is to not only potentially create conversations with others, but it's also sort of a good outlet, for me personally, just to, work on articulating some of my own thoughts and sharing them externally, of course, but even internally. Sometimes it's good to just to hear yourself talk and to possibly even challenge some of your own internal assumptions. So I think um, that's what I hope to do. Yeah. So, yeah. So the dichotomy of identity when we return to our roots, but at the same time, we are considered an outsider even once we come home. So those are just some thoughts for this evening. And thank you so much for listening and have a lovely evening, afternoon, or day. All right. Blessings.